living below in this so sinful world, hardly a comfort can afford. Shining below to face temptation sore, where could I go but to the Lord? Where could I go? Where could I go? Seeking a refuge for my soul, needing a friend to help me in the end. Where could I go but to the Lord? Neighbors are kind, I love them everyone. We get along in sweet accord. But when my soul is manna from above, where could I go but to the Lord, to the Lord? Where could I go? Where could I go? Seeking a refuge for my soul, needing a friend to help me in the end. Where could I go but to the Lord? Life here is grand with friends I love so dear. Comfort I get from God's own word. Yet when I face the chilling hand of death, where could I go but to the Lord, to the Lord? Where could I go? Where could I go? Seeking a refuge for my soul, needing a friend to help me in the end. Where could I go but to the Lord? Where could I go but to the Lord, to the Lord?
What on earth is happening to planet Earth tonight?
究竟喺我哋地球上，今天晚上咩事情發生呢？
Millions of us are glued to our television sets in shock watching.
成千上萬嘅人就定睛望住個電視機，係非常之震驚。
Fires,
火災啦，
tsunamis,
海嘯啦，
threat of war.
戰爭嘅威脅啦，
The most devastating war machines assembled ever.
呢啲充滿毀滅性嘅武器啦，
And the stock market going up and down like a roller coaster.
呢啲股市咧就上上落落，大起大落咯。
People everywhere are wondering, what's next?
啲人就喺度諗啦，究竟下一樣係咩啦？
Polar ice caps melting.
呢啲北極嗰啲冰塊就溶解啦，
Suicide bombers.
嗰啲炸彈式嘅自殺，
Movies proliferate about the end of the world.
好多個電影咧就講到關於呢個世界嘅末日。
In fact, there's books written about Armageddon,
有本書就講到亞米得多頓，
Earth's final battle.
即係地球上面最後嘅戰爭。
What's coming next?
究竟下一樣要再嚟嘅係咩咧？
Wherever you live, it doesn't take a rocket scientist today to look at today's headlines
無論你住喺邊度，都唔需要一個火箭嘅科學家係睇下今日嘅頭條新聞係咪？
and realize these are frightening times.
就知道今日係喺非常之震驚嘅時代。
All of us know something is about to happen.
我哋都大家知道有啲事情係將會發生，
But what?
究竟係乜咧？
The world is reeling from terrorist attacks.
呢個世界不斷受到嘅恐怖襲擊。
Our flight on planet Earth is a whole lot more bumpy.
我哋地球上面，我哋嘅航程咧係崎嶇不平嘅，
Earthquakes, typhoons.
地震啦、颱風啦。
The world is on tiptoe, holding its breath,
咁呢個世界咧就靜悄悄咁樣
wondering
企喺度咁啊，
what's next.
究竟喺度諗緊下一樣係咩咧？
Something is coming of epic proportions.
有啲嘢咧係好重大嘅事情將會發生啦。
What is next?
究竟下一樣係咩啊？
Well, the pundits are now saying that the future is so frightening
啲權威人士就講話，將來要發生嘅事咧係非常之震驚嘅。
that something greater than man
有啲事情咧係超乎人之上嘅，
a power above man,
能力係超乎人之上嘅。
must alter the collision course our nations are now
佢哋
taking.
一定要阻止所有國家咧唔好再碰撞。
During this very program tonight, it's my purpose
咁喺我今晚嘅節目咧，我嘅目的就係
to actually identify this needed outside force.
就要睇出呢個外在嘅力量係咩嘢。
Ladies and gentlemen, from now on, you can read your newspaper with a brand new perspective.
各位先生女士，今日我哋可以睇報紙嘅時候咧，用重新
And see world events in a whole new light.
咁咧就睇世界嘅事情咧，用一個新嘅角度嚟。
Are you ready?
大家準備好未啊？
You're on the edge of a truly thrilling discovery.
大家會喺呢個奇異嘅發現嘅邊緣嗰度啦。
But how do we learn about the future?
究竟我哋點樣學習到關於將來咧？點先咧？
You know, the ancient Tang dynasty of China
大家知道我哋中國古代嘅唐朝，
saw remarkable expansion of China's border,
佢嘅邊界咧就一路向外推展開去啦。
expanding as far west as the Russian borders.
向西一路推到去蘇聯嗰邊。
Tang China claimed even more land than modern China.
唐朝嘅中國啊，個地域個版圖比今日嘅中國更大。
Then under Zhuangzhang's golden age of 712 CD,
就喺主後712年嘅唐玄宗嘅黃金時期啊，
Chinese culture became the most cosmopolitan in all of the world.
中國嘅文化咧就非常之喺世界各地都好普遍嘅。
Ambassadors came to China
啲外交嘅大使咧就嚟到中
from
國，
as far west as the Middle East.
就從西邊喺中東嗰邊過嚟嘅。
Thousands of merchants and artisans and diplomats from distant lands
成千上萬嘅商人啊、技工啊、啲外交嘅領事咧，從好遠嘅地方咧，
they took up residence in the capital, Chang'an,
就去到古代嘅地方長安嗰度咧，就
which became the world's largest city.
當時候就世界最大嘅城市。
But to learn about the future,
但係如果我哋要學習關於將來咧，
we must go way, way back to the Middle East.
我哋就要翻到去中東嗰度啦。
We go much back farther in history to a country located on the western edge of China.
咁我哋咧就要去到一個國家咧，就喺中國嘅西邊嗰個國家嗰度。
How do we learn about the future in our day today?
究竟我哋喺今日呢個時代點樣睇到將來咧？
Well, strange as it may seem,
睇嚟似乎係好奇怪嘅。
to properly identify this powerful force,
仲要提出呢個有呢個力喺邊度？呢個勢力喺邊
it's
度？
necessary to go back 2,600 years in history.
要翻到2600年之前嘅歷史當中。
Let's take a look tonight at one of the most amazing pictures of future world history ever produced.
而家我哋就睇下一個好奇妙嘅圖畫，就講到將來呢個世界嘅歷史。
And no wonder,
大家唔好奇怪，
God himself produced it.
上帝咧就咁樣做咗出嚟。
Are you familiar with this book?
大家熟悉呢本書嗎？
I hold in my hand a book we call the Bible.
我手揸住呢本就叫做聖經。
Now, it's made up of many little smaller books.
咁有好多卷唔同嘅書合成㗎。
And tonight, we're going to be focusing on the little book of Daniel.
咁今天晚上我哋集中注意力睇但以理書。
Daniel contains an amazing vision about the future.
但以理咧就睇到一個好奇妙嘅異象，關於將來嘅。
And it all begins with a king's dream.
咁開始嘅時候咧，就係從一個皇帝嘅夢開始啦。
It's found over here in Daniel chapter 2.
就喺但以理書第2章嗰度咁樣記載。
Now, this dazzling young monarch
呢一個年輕嘅君主咧，
just happens to have been Saddam Hussein's hero.
原來佢就係撒旦姆嘅英雄嚟喎。
Nebuchadnezzar was king of ancient Babylon.
咁尼布甲尼撒王咧就古代巴比倫嘅喎，
That was back in 539 BC.
就翻到去主前530
So that's the same Babylon that's right near Baghdad today.
當時嘅巴比倫咧就係今日嘅巴格達嘅地方。
Nebuchadnezzar forged together the great empire of Babylon, now Iraq.
佢建立咗佢嘅國家就係巴比倫，就係今日嘅伊拉克。
Now, that proud monarch determined that Babylon would always rule the world.
咁呢個驕傲嘅君主咧，就決定咗巴比倫咧要永遠咁樣統治呢個世界。
And thinking of his empire to come, Nebuchadnezzar one night fell asleep.
佢就諗緊佢自己嘅王國嘅時候，有埋眼佢瞓覺。
And he dreamed a dream.
咁就瞓住咗啦。
Verse 1 says that in that dream, he saw some terrible things.
咁第一節就講到喺佢個夢咧，佢睇見一啲好可怕嘅事情。
He saw the rise and fall of political empires crashing one after the other.
佢睇到嗰啲國家咧，就一個興一個衰咁樣，一個就打敗另一個。
And in his terror, he woke up.
咁佢非常之震驚啦，咁樣就醒。
And he cried out in that palace bedroom.
佢喺個皇宮佢個睡房嗰度咧就大叫啦。
Well, the palace guards came rushing in.
皇宮嘅守衛咧就衝入。
What is it, king? What is it, king?
皇帝。
Oh, I've had a terrible dream.
呢時候，我發咗一個好
terrifying things are about to happen.
有啲好可怕嘅事情將會發生啦。
What is it? Tell us, please.
要咩事咧？請講俾我聽啦。
The king said, Quick, call the wise men, the astrologers.
個皇帝就講：快啲叫我哋國家嘅哲士嗰啲星相學家嚟。
You see, the king employed a whole retinue of fortune tellers to explain dreams and to foretell the future.
咁呢個皇帝咧就聘請咗好多個星相學家咧，就同佢睇關將來嘅事情。
So here they came in, the brains trust of the empire.
就係呢個皇帝所信任嘅人。
Mathematicians.
有數學家啦
，astronomers.
天文學家
，scientists.
科學家
all with their fancy degrees and PhDs.
佢哋攞咗好多個學位，又博士學位。
And they said, Hello, king.
佢哋話：哎呀，皇帝你好。
What is it?
究竟係咩咧
What do you want?
究竟你想咩話
Daniel 2, verse 3.
但願你第2章第3節。
Oh, I've had a dream.
佢話我有個夢啊發咗。
And my spirit is so anxious to know the dream.
哎呀，我個心好煩亂，想知道呢個夢係咩啊
Now, these wise men back then were like our 21st century university graduates.
呢啲所謂嘅哲士就等於我哋今日21世紀嘅大學畢業生啊。
They were the wise and the trusted advisors.
佢哋亦都係聰明嘅、受信任嘅一班。
And in verse 4, it says,
就咁樣講到話
O king, live forever.
王啊，願你萬歲啊！
Tell us your dream, and we will give the interpretation.
你講俾我哋聽個夢咧，我哋就會為你講解㗎啦。
The king said,
呢個王就咁講。
Now listen.
你聽。
That's the very point.
呢個就係咁樣啦。
I've forgotten the dream.
我忘記咗呢個夢啦。
You men claim to have direct communication with the gods.
你哋就話同嗰啲神可以溝通，係咪？
You, tell me my dream.
你就講俾我聽呢個夢係點啊
And verses 5 and 6 record the desperate struggle
第5、第6節咧就講到佢哋彼此之間喺度爭辯
between these so-called wise men and the king.
就係呢啲所謂嘅哲士同埋呢個王。
Everyone could clearly see now that they were just stalling for time.
好多人都睇到啦，佢哋其實而家只不過想拖延時。
But the king demanded in verses 5 and 6,
但係呢個皇帝喺第5、第6節就咁樣講話。
My decision is firm.
我決定係做咗啦。
If you do not make known to me the dream
如果你唔將個夢講解俾我知嘅話咧
and its interpretation,
同埋嗰個解釋講俾我知嘅話
you shall be cut in pieces,
我就將你碎屍萬段。
and your houses will be made an ash heap.
你個房屋就會成為糞堆。
Therefore, tell me the dream and its interpretation.
所以咧，你要將個夢同埋佢嘅講解話俾我知。
Oh, come on, king.
哎呀，皇帝啊！
Tell us the dream.
講俾我哋聽呢個夢啦。
You tell me the dream or I'll have the whole bunch of you religious hypocrites killed.
你要將個夢講俾我聽，如果唔係，我將你呢班宗教嘅騙徒殺晒。
Verses 10 and 11.
第10同埋第11。
Oh, king.
王啊！
There's not a man on earth who can tell the king's matter.
地上冇人能夠講解王嘅夢。
They were right.
佢哋係啱嘅喎。
There's no king, there's no lord or ruler who's ever asked such things of any magician.
冇君王、冇大臣或者掌權嘅，會問啲術士咁樣嘅問題。
There is no other who can tell it to the king except the gods,
冇人可以講俾王聽，除咗
whose dwelling is not with men.
神，但係佢唔係與我哋世人同居嘅。
The king roars.
呢個王咧就好大聲，
Slay them all.
殺晒佢哋，
Execute every last one of them.
殺晒佢哋每一位。
Daniel 2 verse 13.
第2章第13節。
So the decree went out, and they began killing the wise men.
呢個命令就發出要殺晒所有嘅哲士啦。
Well, at the court of Babylon, during this very time,
就喺嗰個皇宮嗰度呢個時候咧，
lived this young Jewish prophet, Daniel.
就住咗一個猶太人嘅先知，個名叫但以理。
Now, he and his 3 companions had been captured by Nebuchadnezzar's armies.
佢同埋3個同伴咧就俾尼布甲尼撒王嘅軍隊咧就俘虜咗。
They were what we call POWs, or prisoners of war.
佢哋咧就今日我哋叫做 POW， 叫做戰犯。
And they were training as future aides to the king.
佢哋就受訓要服侍呢個皇帝啦。
Now, for some reason, Daniel and his 3 friends hadn't been called in.
但係有啲原因咧，就但以理同埋3個同伴咧就未被召入宮嗰度。
For this King Nebuchadnezzar's midnight madness consultation.
就同呢個王解釋關於夢嘅事情啦。
So when the commandant Arioch and his soldiers came to Daniel's house to arrest him,
當呢個護衛長亞略同埋嗰啲士兵去到但以理個屋要拘捕佢嘅時候，就喺度。
Daniel said,
但以理就話
"This seems very harsh and very abrupt, Arioch.
哇，做咩咁樣嘅事情啊？
This is so unlike the king. What's the matter?"
好似唔係我哋皇帝咁，究竟咩事發生啊？
I'm sorry, Daniel.
對唔住啊，但以理，
I think the king must have eaten too much pizza last night.
或者我哋個皇帝食得太多薄餅啦，琴晚。
Daniel says, "Please, Arioch,
但以理就話：，
do not destroy the wise men of Babylon.
請你唔好殺晒巴比倫嘅哲士。
If you'll grant me a temporary stay of execution,
如果你俾暫時緩
and then
嘅時候
take me before the king,
你暫時俾我啲時間，跟住帶我去到王嗰度。
both his dream and the interpretation can be made known to the king."
關於王嘅夢同埋講解咧，會話俾佢知㗎。
It's a fascinating drama here in Daniel
哇！
2.
呢個情節就非常之緊湊啦，係咪？
The king grants Daniel's request.
呢個皇帝咧就答應但以理嘅要求啊。
Daniel heads home and he spends the night in prayer.
但以理就翻屋企啦，跟住就祈禱啦。
And that very night, the God who lives in heaven
喺嗰天晚上，呢位住喺天上嘅神啊，
revealed that secret dream to him in a night vision.
將嗰晚王所發嗰個夢咧，就顯示咗俾但以理知啦。
And the next morning, Daniel called Arioch on his cell phone.
第二天早上咧，就但以理咧就打電話俾嗰個護衛長亞略啦。
And then Daniel steps into the throne room.
跟住但以理咧就站喺寶座嘅面前。
And the king flatters Daniel.
呢個皇帝有少少好似奉承但以理。
Well, I understand that you're pretty smart, you're pretty intelligent.
我知道你都好聰明、好叻仔嘅喎。
You're able to tell me what I dream.
你梗係可以講俾我聽，我發嘅係咩夢啊？
Just a minute, says Daniel.
但以理話：請你等一等。
I want you to know I didn't come up with this.
我想你知道唔係我知道嘅。
Verses 27 and 28.
第27、28節咧，
The secret which the king has demanded,
就係呢個咁嘅奧秘是皇帝所想知嘅
the
啦。
wise men, the astrologers, the magicians, and the soothsayers cannot declare to the king.
就係所謂嗰啲哲士用法術、術士、觀星兆嘅，都唔能夠話俾王知。
But
但係咧，
there is a God in heaven who reveals secrets,
喺天上有位神咧，能夠顯明奧秘事，
and he has made known to King Nebuchadnezzar what?
佢就將日後嘅事咧，就顯明俾尼布甲尼撒王知啦。
What shall be in the latter days?
就係顯明俾佢知喺末後要發生嘅事。
King,
王啊，
when it comes to foretelling the future,
當講到關於要將來嘅事情嘅時
the
候，
wisdom of man is useless.
呢啲所謂哲士咧真係冇用㗎。
But, O king,
但係王啊，
through your dream,
透過你個夢嘅時候，
God outlines the history of the world for more than 2,600 years.
上帝就將歷史上將要發生2600年嘅事咧，就簡述咗俾你知啦。
What? Really?
真係啊！
The king leans forward on his throne.
呢個皇帝就坐前啲去。
Well, Daniel, go ahead.
但要你繼續啦。
What did I see? What did I dream?
究竟我睇到啲咩咧？我夢咗啲咩咧？發夢。
And he listens intently as Daniel begins in verse 29.
佢非常之留心聽但以理所講，29節就咁講。
As for you, O king,
王啊，對你嚟講啦，
thoughts came to your mind while on your bed
當你喺床上所想到嘅事咧，
about what would come to pass after this.
就會係關於後來將來嘅事啊。
And he who reveals secrets
同埋佢嗰一位能夠顯明
has
奧秘
made
事咧，
known to you what will be.
就會將來要發生嘅事咧，就講咗俾你知啦。
Yes, Daniel.
但以理啊，
What did I dream?
究竟我夢咗啲咩咧？發咗咩夢咧？
Verse 31.
第31節，
You, O king, were watching,
王啊，你睇住啦，
and behold, a great image.
你睇見一個大嘅像，
This great image whose splendor was excellent stood before you, and its form was awesome.
呢個大像咧極其光耀，佢就站喺你嘅面前，非常之可怕噶。
Oh, Daniel, yes, that's it. An awesome image.
係啊，就係呢個可怕嘅像啊！
This image's head was of fine gold, and his chest and arms of silver.
個夢嘅結束就係呢嚿石啦，
Striking the image at its feet,
就打落嗰個像嘅腳嗰度，
and shattering and grinding that whole statue to powder so the wind just blew it
將
away.
佢變成粉末咧，啲風一吹咧就散晒啦。
Verse 35.
第35節，
And the stone which struck the great image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth.
呢個石咧就打碎咗佢咧，佢就變成一座大山咧，就充滿咗天下。
Daniel looks at the king.
但以理咧就望下呢個王，
The king looks at Daniel.
個王又望住但以理，
He's still leaning forward on his throne,
佢就前啲坐，
and his face brightens.
佢個面咧就發光啦。
Yes,
係啦，
that's it. That's the dream.
就係呢個夢
Exactly as I saw it.
就係咁樣噶啦，
This great metal man,
就係呢個金屬嘅大像，
different metals less in value is just descending from head to toe.
唔同嘅金屬從頭到腳咧個價值一路越嚟越低，
Gold,
就金咯，
then silver,
銀咯，
then brass,
就銅啦，
then iron,
鐵啦，
then iron mixed with clay.
鐵同埋泥就合埋一齊。
Now someone asks tonight,
有人咧今晚就可能咁樣問，
but what does it mean?
究竟係咩意思啫？
What possible significance can this obscure, strange dream have upon modern nations?
呢個咁嘅怪夢對我哋今日現今嘅世界有啲咩重大嘅意義咧？
Oh, my friend, wrapped up in this strange image
我朋友就喺呢個夢嘅內容當中咧，
are hidden certain facts capable of transforming our entire outlook on the world.
就隱藏住一啲嘅事實咧，就會影響住我哋嘅睇法㗎。
Nebuchadnezzar asked, what does it mean?
尼布加尼撒王就問啦，究竟係咩意思啊？
Said the young prophet in verse 36.
呢個年青嘅先知就咁樣講啦，第36節，
This is the dream.
呢個就係夢啦。
Now, we will tell the interpretation.
而家咧我就會將個夢講解。
Now, please notice, ladies and gentlemen,
各位先生女士，大家留意。
I'm not placing tonight some modern interpretation on a musty old dream.
我而家唔係用而家嘅解釋方法去解釋一個咁古舊嘅
It was interpreted by God on the spot.
而係上帝當時候親自解釋㗎。
Well, again, the king nervously switches his position on his throne.
呢個王咧好緊張啦，就轉嚟轉去，
And he listens.
坐喺度，佢就聽啦。
As in just a few words, God sketched for 27 centuries history.
就用幾個嘅字咧，上帝就將未來2700年、27個世紀嘅歷史咧，就展示咗出嚟。
All the way from Babylon's time, which was the time of Buddha and Confucius,
就從尼布甲尼撒人嘅巴比倫王開始，即係 佛祖啊、孔子嗰段時間開始，
all the way down through our day, down to the final climax of Earth's history.
一路就去到我哋今日，去到呢個地球歷史最高峰嘅時候。
Daniel looked squarely at King Nebuchadnezzar.
但以理咧就咁樣望住呢個王啦。
Your Majesty,
哎呀，陛下
here's what this dream means.
呢個就夢嘅解釋啦。
Verse 38.
第38節，
You are this head of gold.
你就係呢個金頭啦。
Babylon.
巴比倫，
Yes, that's fine.
哇，仲
Babylon,
係好咯。
the golden, Babylon the great.
巴比倫嘅金頭係嘛？偉大嘅巴比倫真係。
That fits.
啱啦，就係咁啦。
The king was thrilled to think that he was at the top of the image.
呢個王當然好開心啦，因為佢知道佢就係呢個大象嘅頭。
Babylon was the golden kingdom of a golden age.
咁巴比倫咧，呢個金嘅王國咧，就喺佢黃金嘅時期當中。
In fact, archaeologists tell us that gold was so plentiful that they used it everywhere.
考古學家就話俾我哋知，當時候巴比倫咧啲黃金就好多㗎。
You know that Babylon's famous hanging gardens were one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world.
大家都知道古代嘅時候好出名7大奇景之一嘅空中花園咯。
Babylon, the golden.
巴比倫，金嘅巴比倫，
They were eternal.
永恆嘅。
They thought.
佢哋以為啫喎。
All this fits, Daniel.
但以理啦，啱
That
啦，
head of gold. I'm that head of gold.
啱啦，我就係呢個金頭啦。
Go on with this wonderful forecast.
請你繼續呢個預言啦。
Verse 39.
第38節。
But, O king, after you will arise another kingdom inferior to yours.
但係第39節咧，王啊喺你之後咧興起一個就不及於你。
What?
咩話？
An inferior kingdom to Babylon will rule the world?
不及於我嘅國會統治世界？
It cannot be.
唔可能嘅喎，
Never will an inferior kingdom topple Babylon.
冇可能一個弱嘅國會統治巴比倫嘅喎。
The Bible says, proud Nebuchadnezzar in Daniel 4 verse 30 spoke saying,
但以理4章30節咧就咁樣講話。
Is not this great Babylon that I have built for a royal dwelling by my mighty power and for the honor of my majesty?
尼布甲尼撒王就講呢個大巴比倫唔係用我嘅大能大力建為京都嘅咩？
But God's holy voice of prophecy said
但係上帝嘅預言之聲就咁樣講話，
that another power would supersede Babylon.
另外一個政權咧就會取代巴比倫啦。
In fact, God even named it.
上帝甚至乎講出佢嘅名添，
He identified it for Nebuchadnezzar and for Daniel.
就跟住講俾尼布甲尼撒王。
He said that power would be Medo-Persia.
呢個政權咧就係馬代波斯啦。
Well, did this ever happen?
究竟有冇發生到咧？
It did.
有啊，真係。
Daniel lived to see it.
但以理當時候仲生存嘅，佢見到呢一
In
幕，
539 BC,
就喺主前539年。
the Babylonians laughed when Cyrus the Mede laid siege to Babylon.
巴比倫人就喺度笑啦。當呢個馬代王古列嚟到圍困個城嘅時候，
They scoffed at Cyrus and his armies as they gathered outside the walls of
佢就
Babylon.
嘲笑古列同埋個軍隊，當佢哋圍困呢個城嘅時候，
No problem.
冇問題嘅，
No way.
唔可能嘅，
Babylon wouldn't fall.
巴比倫唔會傾到嘅。
But God said Babylon would fall and succumb to a lesser nation.
但係聖經就講啦，巴比倫會傾到嘅。
In fact, 150 years before he was even born,
事實上就係喺佢出生之前150年前，
prophecy revealed that a man named Cyrus would do this.
聖經嘅預言講到話有個人叫做古列，佢會咁樣做嘅。
But how take those walls of Babylon?
但係點樣可能呢？
By surprise night attack.
就係借住晚上一個嘅突襲啦。
The Medo-Persian army stormed Belshazzar's palace.
馬代波斯嘅軍隊咧就入到呢個伯沙撒
They
王嘅
captured
皇
the
宮，
city.
跟住圍困
They
嘅城，
killed the king.
殺咗個王。
And the great kingdom of Babylon the Golden came down and crashed
呢個金嘅巴比倫城、巴比倫國咧就傾倒啦喺嗰
in
度，
just one night.
就喺一個嘅晚上啫。
History confirms that now Medo-Persia ruled that part of the world.
歷史就印證咗馬代波斯咧就統治當時候嗰個地方，
West of China
就喺中國嘅西部，
for 2 centuries.
就係2個世紀咁
From
耐，
539 to 331 BC.
就係主前539年到331
The
年。
breast and arms of silver of the great image ruled.
呢個銀嘅胸同埋臂膀咧就
And
統治
it
啦。
was a kingdom inferior to Babylon.
一個不及於佢嘅國家咧就統治啦。
But it happened just like God's word said it would.
但係就咁樣發生咗啦，正如聖經所記載嘅。
Now, meanwhile, the Zhou dynasty was here in China.
喺當時候咧，我哋中國咧就係周朝嘅時候，
But the prophecy goes on.
但係呢個預言咧就繼續啦，
History goes on.
歷史亦都繼續啦。
Daniel predicted that west of China, the kingdom of silver would also fall.
歷史就講到話，預言就講到話喺中國西部嗰個國家咧就會亦都傾倒嘅。
Notice verse 39.
睇下第39節啦，
Next, a third kingdom, one of bronze, will rule.
就有第三個國家係銅嘅，就會掌管天下。
Well, did that come to pass?
但係有冇發生呢？
Could Daniel have identified this third world power when it hardly even existed?
但以你可唔可以講出呢第三個嘅政權喺當時候都冇存在嘅政權呢？
In Daniel 8:21, he specifies that.
但以理8章22節咧，但以理就講咗
He
出嚟啦。
says, the belly and thighs of bronze in this metal image is Greece.
呢個銅腹同埋腰嗰個就係希臘啦。
Daniel names it 300 years before it existed.
但以理咧就喺佢存在之前300年已經講咗出嚟，
Prophecy spelled it out. 1, 2, 3.
預言就講咗啦。第一、第二、第三。
First Babylon,
第一就係
then
巴比倫、
Medo-Persia,
馬代波斯，
then Grecia.
跟住就希臘啦。
And you know what?
大家知道嗎？
History backs up the Bible.
歷史就支持聖經嘅。
You scholars here know about Alexander the Great.
在座嘅有博學之士知道亞歷山大大帝係咪？
In 331 BC, Alexander became the ruler over the third world empire.
喺主前331年咧，亞歷山大大帝咧成為呢第三個嘅政權
The
嘅統治
kingdom
者，
of brass.
就係呢個銅嘅國啦。
It's very interesting that the Greek soldiers wore brass armor.
我哋睇下咧，好有趣喎！嗰啲希臘嗰啲士兵咧，就嗰啲盔甲咧係銅做
They
嘅，
had brass spears,
佢哋咧嗰啲矛咧又係銅
brass
做，
shields,
嗰啲盾咧又係
brass
銅做，
helmets,
頭盔亦都係
and
銅，
brass battle axes.
嗰啲斧頭咧亦都係銅嘅。
That was the third metal in Nebuchadnezzar's dream.
呢個就係尼布甲尼撒王嘅夢咧第三種嘅金屬啦。
Alexander the Great, what a man.
亞歷山大大帝呢個係一個
You know, in 5 short years, he marched his armies all over the globe.
呢個將軍咧就5年嘅時間咧，將佢嘅軍隊咧就走遍世界。
He made it as far as Hindu Kush,
佢去到印度嘅 Hindu Kush 嗰度，
but he never ruled any of South or East Asia where you live tonight,
佢冇統治亞洲嘅南部或者東部喺我哋住嘅地
which
方，
probably had a larger population than the world that he did rule.
或者喺當時候佢所統治嘅世界嘅人口係好
But
多。
God predicted 4 world empires,
And
one after another.
上帝咧就預測咗4個嘅政權，一個接住一個。
So after the thighs of brass, we're now down in the legs of iron.
銅腹之後咧，我哋就嚟到鐵腿啦。
Notice verse 40.
睇下第40節啦。
And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron.
第4個國家咧會堅壯如鐵嘅。
Now you just speak out loud. Turning to history again.
大家睇翻歷史啊，
Who crushed Greece?
邊個打敗希臘啊？
Roma.
羅馬啦，
Rome was the most fierce and ruthless kingdom yet.
羅馬係非常之殘忍嘅國家嚟嘅。
This great iron monarchy of the Caesars,
呢個鐵腕嘅君主凱撒啦，
who called themselves gods.
佢哋稱自己做神嘅。
Everyone knows that it was Rome that was the cruel power that put Jesus to death on the cross.
大家都知道呢個殘忍嘅政權羅馬咧，就將耶穌釘喺十字架上。
Roman soldiers nailed him there.
羅馬嘅士兵將耶穌就釘喺十字架。
Now, iron Rome also happened to have iron chariots.
呢個鐵嘅羅馬咧，佢哋嗰啲馬車都係鐵做
They had
嘅。
little short swords made of iron.
佢哋好嗰啲短劍咧，亦都係
And
用
of
鐵
course,
做
they。had a fantastic highway system.
佢哋嗰啲道路嘅系統，我哋叫
But it
鐵
was
條
a
大路通羅馬。
horribly fierce, authoritative power.
佢哋係一個非常之殘忍嘅政權嚟㗎。
Now listen, King,
皇下而家聽下啦，
Your Majesty,
陛下，
A major change in world history comes at this point.
世界嘅歷史咧，而家有個好大嘅改變啦。
Your Honor, there will be no more world empires.
跟住咧就冇世界嘅政權啦。
No world empire will follow Rome.
冇一個世界嘅政權咧喺羅馬之後。
Says Nebuchadnezzar.
尼布甲尼撒王話咩
No
咩話？
Fifth world empire?
冇第五個嘅世界大國？
No, says Daniel.
但係你話冇啊？
Not France, not Germany,
唔係法國，唔係德國，
not even Genghis Khan's Mongols,
唔係蒙古嘅成吉思汗，
not Russia,
唔係蘇聯，
not the United States of America.
唔係美國。
Prophecy says the fourth world empire is the very last.
聖經就講到第四個嘅世界大國咧係最後嘅一個。
Babylon,
巴比倫、
Medo-Persia,
馬代波斯、
Greece,
希臘、
Rome,
羅馬。
and then God says a big change is coming.
上帝就講話跟住咧會有好大嘅改變就嚟啦。
Nebuchadnezzar leans forward on his throne, listening.
尼布甲尼撒王就身前啦，喺個寶座上面。
Daniel points down to the feet of that image.
但以理咧就指住呢個大象嘅腳嗰度。
King, do you remember that in your dream you saw the feet were part of iron and part of clay?
王啊，你記得你個夢嘛？你個腳咧係半鐵半泥噶嘛？
Yes. But what does that mean?
係啊，但係咩意思咧？
Notice verse 41 and 43.
睇下41節吓。
Just as you saw that the feet of toes were partly of baked clay and partly of iron,
你睇到嗰個腳同埋腳趾係半鐵半泥嘅時候，
so this will be now a divided kingdom.
呢個咧就嗰個國家將來係會分開嘅。
So the people will be a mixture and not remain united.
啲人咧就彼此參雜，但係唔能夠相合
Any
嘅，
more than iron mixes with miry clay.
就係好似鐵同泥合埋一齊一樣。
You mean there won't be one world empire anymore?
你意思話冇一個嘅世界大國咩？
Exactly.
係啊，
No world empire.
冇世界嘅大國啊。
Rome would rule for 600 years.
羅馬統治咗600年，
But then Europe would disintegrate.
但係歐洲咧就會瓦解啦。
Did that happen?
究竟有冇發生啦？
Yes.
有啊，
Rome divided.
羅馬就分裂啦，
Just like the 10 toes.
就好似10個腳趾一樣。
In fact, Daniel 7:24 said 10 kings would arise.
跟住佢就講話10個王咧就出現喺但以理書嗰度講，
Rome fractured into 10 little segments,
羅馬就分裂咗10個位置，10個部分。
corresponding exactly to the 10 little toes of the image.
就好似腳嘅10個腳趾一樣分開啦。
Rome came apart,
羅馬就分開啦，
just like iron and clay come apart.
就好似鐵同埋泥係分開一樣，
They can't mix.
佢哋唔可以合埋一齊。
Nothing you can do will weld iron to clay.
你唔可以將嗰啲鐵咧焊落啲泥度噶嘛。
Notice 42 and 43.
睇下第42、43節。
So the kingdom will be partly strong and partly fragile.
所以嗰啲國家咧就一半咧係強壯，一半係弱嘅。
As you saw iron mixed with miry clay,
你睇到啲鐵同埋泥合埋嘅時候咧，
they will mingle themselves with the seed of men,
佢哋人嘅後裔咧就彼此參雜合埋一
but they
齊，
will not adhere to one another, just as iron does not mix with clay.
但係佢哋唔可以合埋一齊，好似鐵同泥唔能夠相合一樣。
Ladies and gentlemen,
各位先生女士，
that's exactly where we are tonight.
呢個就係我哋今晚嘅情況啦。
These 10 divisions are basically the nations of modern Europe today.
呢分開嗰10個國家咧就係今日嘅歐洲啦，
West of China.
就喺中國嘅西邊。
But here's the point.
但係個要點就係咁樣。
God predicted something else about all our modern nations tonight.
上帝咧就預測咗一啲嘢關於我哋現今嘅國家嘅。
He said they would never unite.
佢哋就永遠唔能夠相合。
They'll try.
佢哋會試。
Verse 43.
第43節。
They shall mingle themselves with the seed of men.
佢哋咧就個後裔咧彼此會撈埋一齊參雜嘅。
In other words, they would intermarry with royalty, but that won't work.
意思就佢哋皇室咧會彼此嘅通婚啦，係咪？
Oh, they'll try.
佢哋會試啦。
But what?
但係點樣啊？
Read the text with me out loud.
大家讀呢一節嘅聖經第43節。
They shall not cleave one to another.
卻不能彼此相合。
They would fail.
佢哋會失敗嘅。
7 words in verse 43 spell the doom of all future attempts for world dominion.
第43節嗰7個字咧就講到呢個世界會咁樣發生噶啦。
Europe tried repeatedly to forge one world empire.
歐洲咧就想合成一個嘅大國。
Is it working even with the euro today?
大家睇下歐羅可唔可以做得成功啊？
Absolutely not.
唔得啦，係咪？
We're still divided more than ever.
佢哋而家仲係咁樣分開，比之前仲緊要添。
Charlemagne back in 800, he was defeated.
查理曼喺800年嘅時候，佢被打敗。
Charles V of Spain tried it. He couldn't do it.
西班牙嘅查理五世嘗試去做，唔成功。
Louis XIV of France, he was defeated.
法國嘅路易14嘗試咁做，亦都失敗嘅。拿破崙、
Kaiser Wilhelm, defeated.
該撒啦被打敗嘅。
Hitler in 1939, defeated.
希特拉啦，1939年被打
Mussolini,
敗。
defeated.
墨索里尼咧被打
A
敗嘅。
single word of prophecy spells doom
一節嘅聖經咁樣講到話係失敗嘅。
to all political efforts to unite our world under one flag.
就係所有國家咧都唔可以聯合埋一齊用一個嘅國
God
旗。
said they will not cleave one to another.
上帝就話佢哋永遠唔能夠相合埋一齊。
Now, I do not wish to be disrespectful or unpatriotic,
我當然唔想係唔尊敬同埋係唔愛國啦，冇咁嘅意思啦。
but these 7 words spell the ultimate doom of the United Nations,
但係呢7個字咧就講咗聯合國佢哋失敗嘅地方。
the nations of Europe,
呢個歐洲嘅國家啦，
Asia,
或者亞洲啦，
or the Americas.
或者美國啦，
They shall not cleave one to another.
佢哋永遠唔能夠相合。
Representatives of various nations may get together,
或者唔同國家嘅代表係坐埋一齊，
but they can't stick together.
但係佢哋唔可以合埋一齊。
God says it will never be.
上帝話永遠都唔可以㗎。
Those same words hang over every peace table,
或者呢啲字咧喺每一張
every effort to unite the world in peace.
所有人坐埋一齊要講和平都唔可以。
God said they will not cleave one to another.
上帝就話佢哋永不能相合。
So, ladies and gentlemen,
所以各位先生女士，
what's next?
下一樣係咩啦？
Listen.
大家聽下啦。
The voice of prophecy speaks again.
預言之聲繼續講啦。
Suddenly,
突然間呢，
the prophet stopped short.
呢個先知咧就停咗一陣。
Look there, king.
睇下王啊，
See it coming?
睇下佢嚟緊啦。
The king looks up and he sees
呢個王就睇下啦。
that stone cut out without hands
呢個石頭唔係用人手鑿出嚟嘅石
comes
頭，
down and strikes the image on its feet
跟住咧就打落呢個像嘅腳度，
and smashes all those nations to bits.
跟住咧就將所有嘅角咧就打碎
The
晒。
image just explodes.
呢個像咧就爆炸咗
It
啦，
shatters in billions of pieces.
爛咗成為粉碎啦。
And that stone grinds it to powder and blows it all away.
呢個石咧就將佢打成粉末咧就吹散咗。
And the king watches that stone grow and grow and grow
呢個王就睇住呢個石一路越嚟越大啦，
until it becomes a great mountain and fills the whole earth.
跟住成為一座大山咧就充滿咗全世界。
Daniel, what does that stone represent?
但以理啊，呢個大石係代表咩咧？
He hears this pronouncement in verse 44 and 45.
你睇下第44節咁樣講話，
In the time of those kings down in the toes of the feet,
就係喺嗰個時候，當列王喺腳趾嗰啲列王嘅時候，
down in the days today of modern China
就喺今日現今嘅中國嘅日
and
子，
Europe
或者係歐
and
洲
the，United States.
或者係美國，
In those days,
就喺嗰啲嘅
the
日子，
God of heaven will set up a kingdom that will never be destroyed,
上帝咧就會另立一個永遠唔會
nor
敗
will it
嘅。
be left to another people. It will crush all those kingdoms and bring them to an end, but it itself will endure forever.
佢唔會歸於別國，就要打碎滅絕一切嘅國，直到永遠嘅。
This is the meaning of the vision of the rock cut out of the mountain,
呢個就係嗰個異象，關於嗰個石頭非人手鑿出嚟嘅石
but
頭，
not by human hands.
就唔係用人手鑿出嚟嘅。
A rock that broke the iron, the bronze, the clay, the silver, and the gold to pieces.
呢嚿石咧就將金銀銅鐵泥就打碎晒嘅石。
The great God of heaven has shown the king what will take place in the future.
呢位至大嘅上帝咧就將來要發生嘅事咧就顯示咗俾佢哋知啦。
The dream is true,
呢個夢係真嘅，
and the interpretation is trustworthy.
佢嘅解釋亦都係真嘅。
Friends, Daniel 2 tonight is a picture of tomorrow morning's headlines.
朋友啊，但以理書第2章啊，就係明日新聞嘅頭條嚟㗎。
It's the next great event on the stage of human history.
就係下一個最大嘅事件喺人類歷史嘅舞台。
The kingdom of the stone.
就係呢個石頭嘅王國。
The second coming of Jesus Christ. That's what's next.
就係耶穌基督嘅復臨，呢個就下一樣嘅事啦。
When Revelation 11 says the kingdoms of this world have become the kingdoms of our Lord.
啟示錄書11章15節話，世上嘅國成為我主基督嘅國。
And he shall reign forever.
佢就要做王，直到永永遠遠。
Folks, Daniel 2 is a prophetic picture of history in advance for our benefit.
各位朋友啊，但以理書第2章咧就係一個預言，講到將來要發生嘅事。
What's next?
下一樣係咩咧？
God loves you too much to leave the people in Asia without knowing the future.
上帝太愛我哋住喺亞洲嘅人，唔希望我哋唔知道將來要發生嘅事。
He invites you to begin taking a bold step of faith beginning today.
佢邀請大家今日要勇敢嘅做呢個信心嘅決定。
A brand new adventure.
一個新嘅旅程。
Put on your seatbelts.
大家攬起安全帶啦。
To come out to these lectures.
大家繼續嚟呢啲嘅聚會。
And begin discovering God's plan for your life and your future.
我哋開始睇下上帝喺我哋人生當中嘅計劃係咩嘢。
He's inviting you to come.
佢係邀請你係要
study.
就一齊嘅研究。
Open our mind to God's plan for your future.
打開我哋嘅心去睇下上帝喺我哋人生嘅將來嘅計劃。
To reach out and discover God's future plans for you found in His holy word.
我哋就睇下上帝喺我哋人生嘅計劃係咩，喺聖經嗰度點講。
Now that's what these nightly studies are all about.
呢個咧就我哋晚上聚會嘅學習。
What's next?
下一樣係咩咧？
The choice is up to you.
個決定係在乎你啦。
At the very end, we see whose side will win.
喺最後我哋會睇到邊一方會打
And it's
勝
going to
仗。
be soon.
好快就發生啦。
What's next?
下一樣係咩咧？
Friend,
朋友啊，
God has a plan
上帝有一個計劃，
right here in this book.
就喺呢本書嗰度有個計劃。
For your life too, not just old Nebuchadnezzar,
亦都係關乎你嘅生命，唔單止係為尼布甲尼
because
撒
he
王，
loves you.
因為佢愛你啊。
Christ's kingdom, the very next event.
基督嘅國度就係下一件嘅大事啦。
Listen,
大家聽下，
tonight,
今晚
we're living down in the very tippy toenails of that big image.
我哋就住喺呢個腳趾嘅指甲嗰度啦，
It's almost over.
差唔多就完啦。
Very soon now,
好快
the，majesty of heaven will arise and say,
天上嘅王就會嚟到。
Ladies and gentlemen, it's closing time.
各位先生女士，結束就嚟啦。
Things on this earth have gone far enough.
世上所發生嘅事咧，就要
The
夠啦
wisdom of mankind and the stock market is bankrupt.
人類嘅智慧或者嗰啲股票市場就會破產啦，
It's over.
就玩完晒啦。
Now, permit me to ask you a question, class.
容許我問大家一個問題啊。
If all of these predictions in just one chapter of the Bible are absolutely correct in every single detail,
如果只係一章聖經所講嘅預言係咁準確嘅細節都咁準確嘅話，
tracing thousands and thousands of years of history in advance,
就係預先追溯1000年嘅歷史。
can't we trust the rest of the Bible too?
我哋可唔可以信靠聖經嘅其他部分？
Can we rely on other truths God has given to guide us and help us prepare for His coming?
我哋可唔可以信靠佢嘅真理，以致我哋係準備好係佢嘅復臨呢？
Daniel 2 tells us tonight that we're right down there in the toes.
但以理書第2章就講到話，我哋今日咧就住喺個腳趾嗰度啦。
We're on the very verge of God's eternal kingdom.
我哋就喺上帝永恆嘅國度嘅邊緣嗰度
We've
啦。
come to the end.
我哋就會嚟到個末日啦。
But think,
但係諗下，
in loving mercy, God reveals step by step exactly what's coming
呢位慈愛嘅上帝就一步一步向我哋啟示將要發生嘅事，
so that we can face the future not with fear,
所以我哋能夠面對將來係坦然無懼
but
嘅，
with confidence.
但係而且充滿信心。
Daniel 2 is an invitation for you to become a citizen of the eternal kingdom.
但以理書第2章就係邀請大家成為天國嘅一份子。
Folks, you didn't come here by accident.
各位朋友啊，你哋嚟到呢度唔係偶
You are
然㗎，
here by divine appointment.
係上帝嘅帶領㗎。
He is inviting you today.
佢係今晚邀請大家
study
嚟啦，研
Open
究
your
啦，
mind to God's plan
打
for your
開
future.
打開你嘅心係睇下上帝喺呢個
Are
計
you
劃。
willing
你願意嗎？
to reach out and discover God's future plans for you found in His holy word, the Bible?
你願意係學習上帝喺你人生嘅計劃嗎？喺聖經所
That's
講
what
嘅。
these studies are all about.
呢個咧就我哋嘅聚會
What's
所
next?
分享噶啦。下一樣係咩
The
咧？
choice is up to you.
決定係在乎你。
Will you consider what your next step will be?
你會唔會諗下你下一步係咩咧？
Ponder with me these words. As sunshine sings, I know who holds the future.
當邵朝陽姊妹唱我知誰掌管明天嘅時候，我哋思想下佢嘅所唱嘅內容。
我不知明天的道路，每一天只为着我。我不见明天的太阳，因明天或许阴暗。我不要为将来忧虑，因我知主的应许。我今天仍如在，因他知前面如何。有许多未来的事情，我现在不能识透，但我知谁掌管明天，我也知谁牵我手。
I'm going to invite you before she sings the last stanza to bow your heads and pray with me.
當佢繼續唱第二節嘅時候，我邀請大家一齊閉目祈禱。
Eternal God,
永恆嘅主啊，
thank you for
多
this
謝你
dramatic picture of truth in Daniel 2.
俾我哋睇到但以理書咁奇妙嘅情景。
We want to be citizens of that eternal kingdom of the stone.
我哋希望成為呢個石頭代表永恆國度嘅子民。
As our heads are bowed, Lord,
當我哋祈禱嘅時候，
I want to invite every person in this room to make a response.
我係想邀請在座嘅每一位都作出一個回應。
Jesus is inviting us.
耶穌係邀請我哋，
Jesus is wanting us to make a simple choice tonight.
耶穌希望我哋今天晚上做一個好簡單嘅決定。
Friend, if you'd like to begin putting your faith more fully in God's incredible word, the Bible,
朋友啊，如果你希望你將你嘅信心建立喺上帝嘅話語當中，
you don't know all the answers,
或者你唔知道所有嘅答案，
but you're making a choice to put God in your future.
但係你願意做決定將上帝擺喺你嘅將來，
You'd like to say, God,
你希望同上帝講話
my，eternal security is in you.
我永恆嘅保障係在乎你，
I'm going to come to these meetings.
我係繼續要嚟呢啲嘅聚會。
Then right now I want to ask the row captains while we're still bowed in prayer.
當我哋繼續低頭祈禱嘅時候，我哋請我哋嘅招待，
Row captains, if you would please stand
招待請你站起嚟。
and distribute those response cards and pencils to everyone in
當
your
嗰啲
area.
將嗰啲決志卡同埋鉛筆咧，就快啲嘅傳俾會
Pass
眾
them。right down the row and take one card and one pencil, pass it on to the next person.
每人就攞一張決志卡同埋一支鉛筆請大家快啲嘅傳過去。
And I'd like to make a response tonight, and we're going to do that together.
我希望大家做一個回應，我哋一齊咁樣做噶。
What's on your card is also on the screen.
個決志卡所寫嘅嘢，亦都係熒幕嘅
I
嘢
want you
嚟
to
㗎。
take your pencil right now. We're still in prayer.
我哋繼續嘅咁祈禱，大家攞出鉛筆嚟。
And if the first one is what you'd like to pray tonight, then I want you to mark number 1.
如果第一項係你希望祈禱嘅內容嘅，請你
Just
剔
put
第一
a
項。
mark right there. I want to prepare for Jesus soon coming.
如果你願意預備迎接耶穌快嚟嘅，請你剔第一項啦。
Difficult in your life.
或者你可以寫低你嘅禱告嘅事項，希望得到醫治，或者有啲特別嘅情況、困難嘅情況。
Right now, while we're still in prayer, I want you to fill that card out as sunshine sings.
我哋而家繼續嘅祈禱，當大家填呢個表嘅時候，我哋繼續聽邵朝陽姊妹唱歌。
每一步 越走越光明，像攀登黄金阶梯，每种担越跳越轻声，每朵云披上阴影，在那里阳光常普照，在那里没有眼泪，在美丽彩虹的尽头，中山陵与天相连，有许多未来的事情，我现在不能识透，但我知谁管着明天，我也知谁牵我手，有许多未来的事情，我现在不能识透，但我知谁管着明天，我也知谁牵我手。
Lift up the trumpet and loud let it ring, Jesus is coming again. Cheer up, ye pilgrims, be joyful and sing, Jesus is coming again.